Hello everybody, Joe Bega Donuts here, and welcome back for another episode of Full Metal Demon Muramasa. Sorry, I'm a little stuttery there. I was dealing with some tech issues. I thought my headset finally gave up the ghost earlier today. And because, it's after Thanksgiving and there's all these wonderful Amazon deals, I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity to get a new headset, because honestly, I've had this thing for like over 5 years. I can see the indentation of like the shape of my ear on like the whatever you call that material, like the thin, soft material they put over the speakers on the inside of like the headphone, like, I don't know what you'd call them, the foamy bits that go on your ear, like on the inside of there's like that thin membrane. It has like you can see the outline of the shape of like my ear on that. The like fake leather padding on the actual like puffy ear parts is like falling apart. So I'm like, I'll treat myself. I'll get a nice pair of like Bose noise canceling headphones. The ones I currently have, they're like some Sony brand noise canceling headphones. They're not cheap ones. They're like $160 when I got them. No idea what they are now. But these Bose ones, they were like $350, not gonna lie. The only issue with them is that for some reason, whenever I plug them into my Blue Yeti, and going into some audio tech stuff here, there's a function for the microphone. It's called audio monitoring. You turn it on, you can hear yourself talking through the headphones you plug into your microphone. So that way you're able to tell, yes, I am actually being recorded. I can hear it picking me up. It's also just nice, because normally when you talk, you're able to hear yourself. But when you have headphones on, it's like you're talking with earplugs in. And it's a little minorly disorientating. Anyway, the new Bose headphones I got, I plugged them in, and there's like a slight delay, but also echo. So when I'm talking, it's like, I don't know if it's, I'm just going to blame it on, because these are very fancy, expensive headphones, it doesn't have the normal like audio aux cord, which is a 3.5 millimeter to, 3.5 millimeter. One into the microphone, one to the headset. And this one is 3.5 to 2.5. And also the cable that came in the box is horrifically cheap looking. Like, really bad. So I'm gonna blame it on that, because it sounds like I'm talking from like what you would put like someone in a computer in a video game is talking to you. Like you're playing System Shock and the mainframe is talking to you. That's what it would sound like to me. My voice through my microphone up to my headset. Your guys' side sounded fine. It sounded completely normal. But I tried doing my little intro thing, yada yada, hey, welcome back kind of thing, and I just couldn't do it. It's like really disorientating. I don't like it. So I'm not going to return them, because they work fine, and honestly, they're a really good pair of headphones. I fly a lot. Not bougie, first class flying. I'm normally, sleeping between pallets of cargo with someone's feet in my face, because there's like 100 other people trying to lie on the floor. So having a nice set of noise canceling headphones to block out the outside world is good. These ones, they work fine, not as good as my new ones. But hopefully when I get my new audio cable in tomorrow, I'll be able to test it out. And, knock on wood, fingers crossed, that's the fix, and I'm just able to, move on to using my new pair. And then the only other bad thing about this pair is they need to be powered on for you to use them. Like, not just the noise canceling function, but to use them at all. Which is a nice thing about the headset that I'm using now, my older Sony one. Like, yeah, you can turn on the noise canceling, but if the battery's dead, it's still a normal pair of headphones that I'm able to use, normally. Like, yeah, I can't hook it up Bluetooth to my computer, but I'm not going to. My audio input ports on my microphone, it's fucking 4 inches in front of my face. I don't need to put it in my computer. But anyway, tech stuff aside, how's it going, everyone? I'm doing good. It's late. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm just going to stay up the entire night. I'm on, of course, while I was at, a late, friends Thanksgiving with some coworkers today, work calls, and they're like, hey, we fucked up the schedule. We don't have anyone to cover the weekend shift tomorrow. Could you do it? Now they ask you, they make that a question. They're not asking a question. They're telling me I'm working the weekend shift tomorrow. But they didn't tell me exactly that. It's their own fault for being ambiguous. They said, will you be on standby for it? I'm like, sure, yeah, whatever. I already know my guy. He's not going to be there. He already has the day off. He has other stuff next week that otherwise he'd be working like, a fucking 8-day work week, and that's bullshit. So they gave him tomorrow off, which means they need someone to cover tomorrow. But, hopefully I can skate on through that by virtue of there not being a lot of stuff going on, knock on wood, tomorrow for my section, and they don't need to call me in. That's what I'm hoping for. It's probably not going to happen. I'm probably going to get a call around noon being like, hey, where are you? I'm going to be like, I'm on standby. They're like, okay, come in. And then I go in and work. My life sucks, man. I can't even get one fucking full weekend off. It's literally impossible. This shit sucks. You know what else sucks? The situation our main characters find themselves in the story right now. They had their little spat last episode. Didn't go great. Minato, he kind of got his ass kicked. Ichijo, she just kind of got her ass kicked. But, everyone seems to have kind of regrouped, They sat down for 5 minutes, caught their breath, ready for round 2. Over this dead child's corpse. And Ayane is now a cannibal because she ate that dead aborted fetus baby that got thrown at her face. It's hard to really blame her. It just kind of fell into her mouth. Muscle memory kind of handled the rest. So I'll give her a pass. She can have a seat on the cannibal council, but we do not grant her the rank of master. Anyway, dead children.
覚えているか? あの喫茶店にいた男児だ。
Thought I was done. I'm not done. The reason I thought my headphones had finally given out was because when I was using them, it went over to right ear only. I'm like, huh, that's weird. I kind of shook it around and smacked it a little. And then it sounded like I was listening to audio with my head stuck in a fish tank and someone was like playing it on a laptop across the room. I'm like, oh, that's not good. So I dug up a second, aux cable from my desk, plugged it in. Exact same thing. I'm like, ah, shit, my aux port on my headphones just died. Turned it on the Bluetooth mode, hooked it up to my computer, working fine. I'm like, great, cool. But the reason, I got the new pairs because I like having my audio monitoring where I can hear myself in my own microphone, because otherwise it's really annoying for me to record. Just absolute 100% personal preference. Man, we're already almost like 10 minutes in. We've read fucking one line of dialogue. Crazy, right? Anyway. That's why I thought it was broken. But then I'm like, wait a minute. I have a third aux cord in my car that I used to like hook my phone up to so I could like listen to music when I'm driving. Because my car, I got the cheapo model that doesn't have Bluetooth integration. I plugged it in and bing bang bosh, it works fine. Oops. So I kind of just spent like $350 on nothing. Not a nothing. It's a nice headphone. I'm not going to return it. If I was smart, I probably would. But, I'll just hold on to it.
お前が正義を語って聞かせた彼だ。彼は両親の命を奪った進駐軍に石一つを手にして挑んだ。 この世の誰よりも勇敢に
Yep, and he killed him.
勇気の意味も知らずに、そして当たり前のように死んだ。一条、あと一度だけ言う。正義を信じて戦うことは止めない。だが戦い
Yeah,
に
it's all
正
well
義
and
の
good
虹を飾るのは
if
や
you
め
go
ろ。
and get yourself killed over your ideas, your ideals. But stop dragging other people into it.
戦いというものの醜い真相を隠さないために、その戦いに次ぐ戦いを引き起こさないために。
あなたの言うことは正しい。戦いは単なる醜い殺し合いだし、
Mm-hmm.
正義なんて呼べたものじゃない。なのに正義と言い張って他の人たちまで引き連れて戦い続けることはきっと最低の悪行だ。決して許されない。それでも
But
私は正義を掲げて
gonna
戦
do
う。
it anyway.
その二文字のもとに悪を打つ。そして行き着くところに戦いのない正しい世界があるって信じる。
The sacrifices will be worth it. There was once a Musha called Muramasa.
鬼に会うては鬼を切る。仏に会うては
Yo,
仏を
digging
切
this
る。
track. This Crimson Titan hated the lies that men used to justify conflict. Yo, let's go. Fucking Tokusatsu song. Let's go, ho. Let's go. That mankind would never forget the face of war. There once was a Musha called Masamune.
世に鬼あれば鬼を断つ。世に悪あれば悪を断つ。
This Azure Titan hated those who preyed upon the weak. Thus, she swore to one day birth true justice that would purge them from the earth.
剣の断り。
ここにあい。
There once were two Musha. They walked different paths, but shared a single dream. The dream of a peaceful world. Man, you guys are really going, huh?
赤と青。
姉上、あれは。
どうして。
Just a lover's quarrel. Oh yeah, sorry, Machi, you're in the story. Oops, I forgot. Maybe he'll be more relevant to the other routes. Why are we here? I know my enemy. I know what drives her. The love of justice, pure child's love, drives her to fight. Is she wrong? No. How could she be? She wants only a better world. She's right. I know. I know, and yet...
リニアアクセル。
I know my enemy. I know what drives him. The fears of what I've become drives him to fight. Is he wrong? No. How could he be? The justice I preach will lead men to slaughter, as Kinsego's song did before me. He is right. I know. I know, and yet...
おぼろ少子剣。
I accept her dream, for I know it is right. Its sorrowful brilliance calls to my soul. I accept his censure, for I know it is right. Its solemn power weighs on my soul. Our hopes and fears are one and the same. Why are we here then? Why do we fight?
タイム低下。危険域。リド、これ以上の熱量消耗は。
Well, it sounds like he's already a dead man walking, so... Burn it all, baby! My body is a ruin. I've pushed it too far. My nerves report nothing but bone-deep exhaustion. As if I were dragging my limbs through thick mud. Isn't it the time for me to rest? To be free of this weariness and this crushing burden? I have no hate for my enemy, only respect. Why must I keep fighting?
もう少し付き合ってくれ村正俺の剣
分かってる共に行きましょうあなたの意志が戦い続ける限り
Thanks, Muramasa.
宣告の鉛玉の傷が開いておるミド
Oh yeah, you mean the one where you shot her guts out? Or the one where she got shot in the guts? My body grows weaker. The bullet hole is torn open, letting my life's blood drain away. Isn't it time for me to run? To be free of this pain and this sick fear of death? I have no hate for my enemy, only respect. Why must I keep fighting?
ふぬけたこと言ってんじゃねえぞ政宗
ミド
そこは血が抜けたくらいで人間死なねえ代わりがいるなら小便でも詰めとけっていうところだろうがこんな傷くらい気合
I
で
mean,
耐
that's
え
well
る
and good. You kind of need those two,
いいから戦
but
う
they're
力を
supposed
よ
to
こせ
stay out of your veins, you know? Well, unless you're getting like a saline, yeah, you know, not enema. That goes somewhere else. IV drip. We seek the same horizon, but the paths we have chosen will never intersect. My foe is that which pillage and praise, which leaves men with no other choice but to fight. My foe is that which deceives and blinds, which teaches men that war is right. And so,
邪悪立つべし
正義立つべし
if, one day, the world may know a little less grief, then we must go on. We must fight, for we are enemies. We must fight, for we are comrades. For the paths we have chosen. For the dream that we share. We must fight until it is done. I know. The tide is turning, and not in our favor. We are as strong as we've ever been. A height of power maintained by my failing body's last sacrifice. A year's worth of life, of bone and flesh, burnt away in an instant. The change is not on our side, but theirs. My enemy is also at the peak of their power, but they are not content to stay there. With every moment, that peak rises. Every strike is their strongest, stronger than the last. They're changing, growing before my eyes. Perhaps this power is what makes a hero. A hero may fall, but is never defeated. What strength she lacks, she finds, inevitably, through suffering, sacrifice, and will. Thus, a hero always wins in the end. I innate Ichijo as a hero, undefeatable. Unbeatable, close enough. The human in me accepts this with awe. The warrior, who holds the reins in this place, asks what it will take to defeat the undefeatable. There is, of course, only one hope. My enemy's growth is incremental, like a climber scaling a mountain face. To defeat her, I must vault still higher, to a place she cannot reach. It will take all of my remaining strength, and once I am there, balanced on the point of a needle, I will have but an instant to make my attack. But that is enough. I have the railgun. I can't miss. Masamune's shinogi lies in wait. Karmic balance, the power to absorb the energy of an enemy's attack, then replicate that attack in every detail. That is God's power, heaven's power, the power of of an impartial judge, rendering fair and solemn verdicts. I feel like there should be an in there, but, whatever. And executing a sentence worthy of the crime. Who lifts a hand against the avatar of justice is by their own strike felled. I have tasted this once before. The only reason I survived was that my strike lacked the strength to kill. If I strike a killing blow now, then I will be the one to die. This is the law, and it will not fail. But what other choice do I have? If I keep fighting like this, my defeat is just as certain. Is there something else? Some art or maneuver that will succeed where my ultimate strike will not? I will not ask a miracle. No gods will serve my aim. Instead, I choose to think, to use every thousandth of 100,000th of a second to search my brain for the answer. Each grain of sand that falls through the glass is a memory. Different battle, different foe. Suzukawa Robu and Inoue Shinkai. Nagasaka Ukyo and his Type 88. Fuma Kotaro and Gassen Jusanmi. There we go. There's a lot of enemies. The bandit captain, Ichigao Mizuhi. The Yakuza swordsman, Sodemachi Ichizo. My sister, Minato Hikaru. I remember their strength, how they fought, how I won, always by the slightest margin. But, not how to properly pronounce their names. That shit goes in the trash. They're still with me. Their techniques, their power, these are the records of my battles. These blood-soaked pages hold countless answers, a vast wealth of techniques and tools, each more deadly than the last. But in this fight, against this foe, only one answer can be right. Which is it? Which? There's nothing else.
エンチャントエンディング
来るか。
叩き返してくれるわ
いいのね。
Ready as we'll ever be. Or sure as we'll ever be.
もないこの道しかないのならその上を行くただそれだけだ
Indeed, this is folly. But what choice do I have? My techniques are useless. My tools are powerless. Her justice will not bend to such trifles. My enemy is the blazing sun. You do not throw pebbles at a star hoping to turn it aside. It will burn them and you to atomic dust before it shifts its course. There is only one way to strike down a sun, with a weapon of greater power. Her undying justice, her invincible shinogi. I must face them both head-on and crush them.
了解。終わりを始める。死を行う。空を表す。
Destroy your enemy with a single stroke, and what power they might possess means nothing. Their strength, their will, all is void. And no weapon expresses this cursed law more fully than this, Muramasa's ultimate strike.
吉野音流合戦霊法信頼が崩しレールガンマガス
Alright, but how are you gonna spin this, bud? Just before my strike cleaves their skull in two, my enemy's sword rises to block it. Possible. Catch a lightning bolt and hold its might at bay. Has her justice transcended the laws of this world? Oh, perhaps. Perhaps it has. Even so, I will smash it. Within this blade is all that I am, every burden that I bear, every dream I've touched, every battle I've fought, every life I've taken, my mistakes, my crimes, my hopes, everything. Everything. Here! We seem to be getting some electromagnetical interference. Oh, that's unfortunate. Pulled off that helm splitter, huh?
終わっ
Finally did it?
か
At last, my fight is over. Nay. Let justice be immortal. A mighty tree no storm can touch. Yo. Is that Masamune? The final justice. Masamune, the hero incarnate! Not looking very heroic there, bud. No. That's something else.
一条
あれはもう人間じゃない。剣でもない。
Yeah,
武者
didn't
で
know
も
this
ない
was a thing that could happen.
あれはただの
Is your desire for justice so strong? Is that how far you would go to achieve it?
終わらない終わるものか。正義は勝つ。正義が勝たなければこの世の悪は滅びない。
Alright, Ichijo. I understand. This is no longer about which of us is stronger. Perhaps it never was. This is about whose will, whose soul, will survive the churn and coital grind and emerge with one fragment intact. We must smash each other to dust so that an answer may be born. So be it, Ichijo. I am with you.
Muramasa!
政宗
My soul too still lives. Through my veins, though my veins run dry and my skin grows cold, my will alone keeps me tied to this earth. These final moments are yours, Ichijo. I will answer your challenge with all that remains, as I know you will answer mine. You sought the answers to a terrible question. What is justice? What is evil? What is their purpose, their meaning, their place? We're not the first to ask these questions, and we will not be the last. Kings and priests, knights and poets, scholars, merchants, widows, farmers. Countless men and women through the ages have given their lives for a glimpse of the truth. We can do no less. That is the path we've chosen. We must follow it to the end. Together. Woo! Let's go. We did it! Hero ending, done! Maybe? Oh, doesn't matter. We got the whatchamacallit, the thematic narrative finale. Whoever wins doesn't really matter. We got to the end before this fight even started. Everyone reached an understanding. They just, sometimes you just gotta throw down. Just ignore that through sheer will alone, Ichijo fucking turned into a monstrous abomination. You know, maybe that has to say what, you know, zealotry about justice with the wrong mindset can lead to, but, you know, maybe I'm just grasping at straws. But, yeah. That was good. Good finale. I like that. shame it hashed out like that, but it's what it is. You know, it's pretty obvious from the start here. The story wasn't going to have a happy ending. You know. Well, I suppose it all depends on perspective. You know, could you consider it a quote-unquote happy ending if, you know, our main characters reached self-actualization, you know, found out all they needed to know about themselves before the end, and were content with, you know, I don't want to say quite content. Accepting, it's hard. I'm trying to say content with, you know, however this hashes out, you know, whoever wins. Because, you know, they're giving it their all, you know, 110% of everything they have into, you know, seeing their side, their view of the world victorious in this clash of ideals. So it's kind of complicated because, you know, I would need more time to like think and mull this over in my head in order to formulate like a complete train of thought. You know, one leads into two into three, but they don't hate each other. They admire each other. They both realize that their ideas are fucking stupid and flawed in every way, and they're bad people for doing it, but that they don't care and they'll do it anyway because they want to, because they believe in it. So they'll do whatever it takes for their banner to be the one standing at the end. But they also recognize the other person is right for calling them out on their bullshit, and they deserve to, you know, probably get killed, but they can't because, you know, they still got work to do. And they're both like that, so they're just giving it their all, you know, good sportsmanship and the like. We'll gloss over the. I just saw Hentai Hospital on the screen and my brain just fucking like reset. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, we'll just ignore that Ichijo turned into some fucking monstrous Devil May Cry Resident Evil boss there at the very end. And focus on our Minato, or Kayaki there, that he finally was able to do the Helm Splitter. Like Hikaru was all those years ago. He realized everything about himself. You know, fully 100% self-actualized. And he was able to pull it off when he needed it the most. It's just that, you know, Aine's a freak fuck monster. And, you know, wasn't enough to finish the job. Do we get an epilogue, or do we just go to title? I feel like we need a bit of an epilogue. There we go. In the 44th year of Koryu, Yamato lies in darkness. The war between the League of Nations and the Rokuhara Shogunate, now led by Otori Shishiku as Ashikaga Kuniyuji's regent, quickly dissolved into a stalemate as the decisive engagement both sides had hoped for failed to materialize. Yeah, mainland invasion of Japan is fucking disgusting to think about once you realize that the entirety of Japan is one long fucking mountain chain, except for, you know, the part where the cities are, in which case urban warfare fucking sucks. And actually, you know, doing a successful invasion where you topple the state and, you know, yada yada, full victory, is horrific to think about, you know, what you'd need to burn to get that to happen. This left the warring parties in a precarious position, as each had a different but equally valid reason for desiring a swift end to the conflict. It began in Kyushu. The Rokuhara governor, Ashikaga Yukitsura, suddenly declared the regime in Kamakura defunct and, backed by the imperial court, seized control of western Yamato. The Muromachi garrison in Kyoto, which existed specifically to check such insurrection, was forced to choose between the enemy on its doorstep and the distant ally who was in no position to send aid. It surrendered in a matter of days. Now General Otori faced enemies on two fronts. Seeing at last a chance to crush Rokuhara, the GHQ commanders raised their glasses in celebration, only to dash them to the floor not 2 weeks later, when Russia landed an army in Ezo. In fact, more than a few analysts had predicted this might happen. The Kyushu governor's primary duty had been to project pressure across the Western Sea. Now that he had abandoned that duty and taken his armies to Honshu, the battle of power on the continent had shifted and the Russian Empire had taken control. What the fuck? Yeah, that came out of nowhere. Ugh. Sorry, Hokkaido. Your fall just shook me to the core. My bronchioli couldn't take it. They protested immediately. But even those who had predicted Russian interference had not imagined it would come so soon. Of course, the bear had its reasons, as became obvious when, after smashing the Ezo garrison, it proceeded to ignore Rokuhara entirely. It turned its claws instead on GHQ, leaving Shishiku for the traitor Yukitsura to fight. It was almost as if Yukitsura and Russia had planned the whole thing from the start. This was indeed the case. The only way at this point to know for certain would have been to observe how they behaved once victory was theirs. Neither GHQ nor Rokuhara was eager to see this happen, so they did the only thing they could to relieve the pressure on their armies. They agreed to a temporary truce. And a little deal with the devil. You get those sometimes when you're playing mods in Hoi 4, specifically Kaiserreich. There's one in the American Civil War where generally it's when one group has fallen, usually like the feds usually die first because the AI sucks at handling the retreat from the Midwest and actually maintaining like defensive fortifications in the East before they can get enough, strength built up to push through and smash the Cindies. But generally, the feds get taken out, the Pacific states are up, and either the Syndicalists or the Longites, the Union state, are gaining too much ground. The other two will call a ceasefire, so that way they can focus on the other, and then, get it down to a two-man civil war instead of like the fucking five-way civil war turns into sometimes. No one likes fighting on two fronts. Man, I fucking love Kaiserreich. In this time, other forces had arisen to add their own colors to this grisly, tableau. Bandits, of course. These sprouts like weeds whenever chaos reigns, but also some far more esoteric and deadly. Take, for example, the Grauen Drachen Gesellschaft, the Green Dragon Society, whose infamy had spread like a plague. Little is known about this shadowed cabal. Were they criminals? Cultists? What did they want? They have lent aid to every side in this conflict. They have burned villages to the ground for no reason at all. If anything, it seems as though chaos itself is their purpose. It is even rumored that they are in league with the Daughters of Stardust, those monstrous 8 who have named themselves Ginsego's Second Coming. The sudden emergence of these 8 on the scene rapidly undid whatever comfort the Silver Star's departure had afforded the people of Yamato. For, like their predecessor, they struck without warning and left nothing in their wake. Terror has returned from the sky to cast Yamato once more into despair. Many have succumbed, and those who do not take their own lives often visit the despair upon others. Looting, rape, murder. The desperation grows. Still, the people are not entirely without hope. Even in these darkest times, there are those who fight for them, such as the nameless army that has gathered around the remnants of Okabe's rebellion. These warriors have pledged themselves to the defense of Yamato and her people. While the same is true of every faction in this conflict, this army is one of the few with a record to back up their claim. They have indeed granted aid to and protection to those who've suffered most in these times. Unfortunately, they lack the numbers to truly bring peace back to Yamato. Also worth noting is that their leader, whom they call Masamune, has never been seen in public. Most outside the faction believe that this name represents a martyr, a person who may have existed once, but who gave their life for the cause years ago. Regardless, the Okabe scions and their brethren are a rare and much needed light in these times. And then there is the Crimson Musha. Rumors regarding this mysterious figure date back to a few years before the war. In the beginning, they described him as a hero who appeared to strike down evil Musha wherever they threatened the innocent. But over time, though they retained their mythological quality, these tales became something to inspire not awe, but loathing. The Crimson Musha demands a sacrifice, they said. Oh yes, he will kill the demon terrorizing your village, but in exchange, one of yours must pay the price. And now, in the 44th year of Kyoryu, as hell rises to swallow Yamato whole, the people of Kanto had come to realize that some myths are true after all. Someone, take up the mantle? You know, made a pact with, Muramasa, because... Ooh, bud. Sounds like our boy, our big man, Minato there, wasn't doing so hot. Amusha has fallen. Beneath his bulk, blood pools from the rent in his once mighty armor. His opponent, the Crimson, is unharmed, and the only warriors left in this place are those who fight with the Nameless Army. These warriors are few, but they are hard. The bandits whom the would-be king had gathered with his stolen wealth could not match them for strength of spirit. Though greater in number, they fled as soon as the tide turned against them. Against them? And thus another pack of thieves have vanished from this earth. The villagers who suffered their predations for months will be much relieved. And yet, no one lifts a cheer. No one even smiles. They look to each other with clenched jaws and dark eyes, as if to say that the worst is still to come. They are correct. There is still the offering to make. The soldiers mutter as an old, stooped man pushes through their ranks to the fore. Upon seeing the dead bandit chief, he falls to his knees and begins to weep. And then, when his tears have run dry, he lifts his head and joins his palms to honor the Crimson Musha. "Thank you," he says, his voice content. "My life belongs to you." The Musha nods. The old man head bids farewell to his body. The warriors, those who do not turn their backs, watch grimly as it rolls to a stop beside the chieftain's corpse. Every one of them knows the story. The old man lost his family to these vermin, his sons murdered, his son's wife taken, his grandchildren sold as slavers from the continent. His mad search for vengeance at last brought him to the Crimson Musha's feet. He purchased his justice with the promise of his life. They all know why this was done, but not one of the warriors accepts that it was right. The man wanted nothing more than to live in peace with his family. Why should such a man, a good man, meet the same fate as one whose crimes outnumbered the weeds. One by one, the nameless army leaves the Musha's side. Some spit at the Musha's feet before leaving. One whispers, "Bloodthirsty savage." Not loud enough to hear. No one stops to offer the Musha thanks or a friendly hand. The footsteps of the living fade into the distance, and soon the fort is empty but for the hollow stares of the dead. Booba! So, the Crimson Musha sheds her crimson armor and bares her face to the bitter wind. The years have stripped away the girl she was, and more than that besides. She's alone now. Her Tsurugi will not warm her. It watches silently from a distance, its stare as cold as its steel. But this is the path she has chosen. On that day 3 years ago, only one Musha and one Tsurugi survived the final battle. The man in the azure departed forever, leaving the girl in the crimson behind. And this meant that nothing was over. No one had triumphed. No answer had been found. They could not let it end there. The girl had lost her weapon, and the Tsurugi had lost her master. Yet, each still had a duty to fulfill. It was necessity that brought them together. There was, of course, the matter of the curse. Ordinarily, the girl would never have accepted the law of balance, but she was out of options, so after much anguish, she agreed, and imposed upon herself 2 additional restrictions. First, she would kill no one without the direst need. Second, where such need existed, that is, where targeting another Musha, she would choose the required sacrifice first and secure the person's consent. Without a willing victim, she would not take up the fight. These rules have not made her life easier. More than once, she had been gravely wounded by enemies she was trying to spare. More than once, she had failed to find a volunteer and been forced to stand by as another villain left his mark on the innocent. Even when all goes according to plan, some scars do not heal. Each time she takes the life of a person who cried to her for justice, she recalls with perfect clarity how she did so before. How she took her father's life and his. Each new sin brings her face to face with all the sins of her past. This is not the path she had hoped to walk. Her justice has lost its inspiring light. But nor is it the path that he hoped she would walk. For even though men turn their backs, still justice remains the banner she carries. She's become a half-breed, trapped between worlds. There is no other way. No, there is. She could stop. Most loathe what she has become. She's found little in the way of welcome. Perhaps she should just give up. The thought first came to her, that battle's aftermath. It is still with her now. Perhaps...
やめるの
Her Tsurugi's voice is distant. This comes as no surprise. A gulf has existed between them ever since their joining. She's not the Tsurugi's true master, merely a replacement. The reverse holds true as well. But at the same time, the woman knows that this coldness indicates more than just attachment. The question was directed inward, too. Is this it? The Tsurugi asks herself. But of course, she already has the answer. This too, the woman knows, for it is her answer as well.
やめないやめるもんか
There's still evil which must be fought. There are still those who hunger for justice, even from one such as her. There is work to be done. And most of all,
やめられないだろうそうね
they cannot stop, not as long as their oath remains unfulfilled.
まだ答えは出ていない何が争いを生むのか
Guess we're just gonna be going on forever
何
then.
が平和を生むのか、正義なのか、悪なのか。
Also, really, what is this outfit? Why don't you just wear pants?
ええ、まだ答えは出ていない。
Their path is the same, so they walk it together. Sometimes, in Dream, the woman wonders if she had not killed her father, if he had not killed his mother. What might they have been? For herself, she knows the path would have led to much regret. For him as well, the woman is certain. Those crimes derived inevitably from the duty they each possessed. By failing in their duty, they would surely have lost far more than they did. But perhaps within that loss, they might have retained their humanity. Instead of becoming the beasts they were and are, perhaps they might have found a place within the world of man. They might have lived good lives, humble lives, lives in which they never met. Would that have not been the right choice? Was the girl on the killing field all those years ago wrong? Perhaps her road, which she thought so straight, left the true path long ago. Every day, the doubt grows stronger. Don't let your grout grow, otherwise, it'll eventually cover the tiles. But when it overwhelms her and her knees start to buckle, she feels his eyes upon her back. And when she turns, he is there, behind her, walking like she is, back to her back. From over his shoulder, his eyes meet hers. I reject you, those eyes say. Our paths are forever opposed. And then she knows that he is right. Their paths are still opposed. Whenever she turns, he is always there, no matter how long and far she walks. This cannot be true unless they were walking in a line, a perfect line in opposite directions. And so, she knows that her path remains straight. She hasn't bent, she hasn't faltered. If she had, he would have vanished long ago. It is not over, he says, and the woman answers by resuming her stride, her course unchanged. She is alone, friendless, but she still has her enemies. The one who knew her wholly and rejected her completely. He keeps her feet on the path.
負けない。
Her oath renewed, she sets out once more into this war-torn land. She will not stop until the answer is found. Who was right? Were they both right? Was it neither? Their battle rages on. We're getting my battle's still going on ending like a manga that suddenly got axed. And the author was forced to write an ending in 2 chapters. It's like, my journey's just getting started, and then, the fucking author never gets another series serialized. But, yeah. Ooh. That's certainly how that would play out. Wouldn't really call it, like I said before, a good ending. It was good, narratively wise. It was good enjoyment wise. But, for the emotional well-being of our characters, I would not call it good. Or physical well-being, considering, one of them died. But, yeah. I pretty much said my piece during that credits scene. I don't really got much more to add on to that. So, yeah, with that, I know it's a little short, but hey, we finished one route. So, golf clap all around for me. Time to, get on to the Nemesis route. I'll have to look at a guide and actually see which choices I need to make properly, so that way I don't end up like I did on this route, where it took me an hour and a half to go through all the choices again in order to do the right thing. But I'll do that tomorrow if I'm not stuck at work. It'll involve some editing. I'll have to bounce around, do all those those Ichijo scenes in the common route that we didn't do because we did the Otori scenes instead. But, you know, yeah, I got nothing else to say. So with that, I leave you here. Yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and the notification bells. You guys on the next time with the next episode of Full Metal Demon Muramasa, where the Nemesis route begins. Catch you guys later. Bye.